You've seen them, right? The sports betting ads that are just everywhere. From those to the rise of crypto casinos, online gambling has absolutely exploded into this massive global industry. But as the money pours in, so do the risks. We're talking addiction, crime, and a constant high-stakes battle between technology and the law. So today, we're going to break down this whole digital phenomenon.
Okay, so to get a sense of just how big this is, look at this number. 66.8 billion euros. And that's just the projected size of the European online gambling market by 2029. I mean, this isn't just a growing industry, this is a full-on digital gold rush. And it's transforming how we interact with games of chance so fast that honestly, regulators are just struggling to keep up.
And you know, this is a massive shift. Think about it. Gambling used to be a place you went to, a casino, a racetrack. Now, it's just an app on your phone, and it's always on, 24/7. This isn't just about making things easier. It completely changes the game when it comes to accessibility, and that dramatically ramps up the potential risks for addiction.
All right, so here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with this digital gold rush and see how the line between gaming and gambling is getting, well, really blurry. Then we'll zoom right into Turkey to see a pretty stark case study of what happens when things go wrong. After that, we'll pull back to look at the global regulatory maze, check out the new frontier of crypto, and finally, we'll ask the big question. Is this whole thing an unwinnable race?
So what's really driving this explosion? Well, it's not just about old-school betting anymore. It's about this powerful and frankly sometimes dangerous convergence of video games and gambling.
And that brings us to a really key concept, social casino gaming. You've probably seen these. They look and feel exactly like real gambling. You know, the flashing lights, the sounds, that little rush when you win. But, and this is the key part, there's no real money on the line. But the big question everyone is asking is, do these games act as a kind of gateway? Are they basically training your brain for the real deal? And you know what? The lines get even blurrier inside the video games you or your kids might be playing right now. We're talking about things like loot boxes, where you're paying real money for a randomized reward. Sound familiar? And then there are the constant microtransactions. I mean, research shows these features are built on the exact same psychological hooks as gambling. They trigger the same dopamine hits in your brain, and that raises some really serious concerns. Could this be pushing people, especially young people, towards actual monetary gambling?
And this quote from a clinical psychologist in Istanbul just nails it. Everyone has a casino in their pocket. I mean, wow. The old barriers, they're just gone. When the casino is always with you, all the friction is removed, and the potential for harm, it's just never been higher.
And that really is the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? It's right at the heart of this whole regulatory challenge. So to really see the consequences when that line gets totally erased, we're going to look at a country that's right in the thick of this crisis.
Okay, let's zoom in on a really powerful case study. What happens when a massive, unregulated online betting market just takes over? Well, Turkey gives us a pretty stark look at the intense social and economic fallout.
Okay, just try to get your head around this number. 375,000. That's how many illegal gambling websites the authorities in Turkey blocked in just 5 years. It's an absolutely staggering figure, and it shows you the true scale of the problem. It's like a digital game of whack-a-mole, right? For every site they shut down, it feels like 2 more just pop right up.
And behind all those websites and all that money, there's a real human cost. This number? Over 100%. That's the increase in people seeking treatment for gambling addiction in Istanbul in just over a year. It's really no wonder that experts on the ground are calling this an exploding virtual pandemic.
So where's all the money coming from? Well, this is what's funding the whole thing. An estimated $50 billion shadow economy. We're talking about money that doesn't just dodge taxes, but even more alarmingly, flows directly into the pockets of some very sophisticated criminal organizations.
So who's actually doing all this gambling? You know, the stereotype often points to one specific group, but the global data tells a more complicated story. Now, it's true that men currently participate at a much higher rate than women. We're talking almost 2/3 of the entire online gambling population, and that gender gap is definitely a key thing for regulators and public health folks to think about.
Yeah, and a problem this big never exists in a vacuum. The fight against illegal betting in Turkey has sucked in major players from across the entire economy. We're talking fintech companies, crypto exchanges, huge sports clubs, media moguls, even social media influencers. The ripple effects are they're massive.
Okay, so let's pull back out from the Turkish example for a second. How is the rest of the world trying to solve this puzzle? Well, the short answer is
in a lot of very, very different ways. There is absolutely no global consensus here.
I mean, look at this. The approaches are completely all over the map. On one end of the spectrum, you've got Turkey's super strict state-controlled model. On the other, you have the UK with its more permissive licensing system. Then you've got the US, which is this incredibly complex patchwork of state-by-state laws. And Australia is trying to tackle it from a public health angle. So what you end up with is this confusing maze of laws, which, you guessed it, creates all these loopholes that international operators are just brilliant at exploiting. And here's the kicker. Just as regulators are barely getting a handle on the websites and apps we have today, a whole new wave of innovation is already crashing down. And it promises to make everything even more complicated and way harder to track.
I mean, it's almost like cryptocurrencies were designed specifically for online gambling. Think about it. They offer anonymity. They completely bypass traditional banks. They couldn't care less about national borders. And the fees are lower. For an operator who wants to dodge regulations, it's literally the perfect storm.
And when you put them side by side like this, the appeal is just undeniable, right? Traditional online casinos can feel clunky, slow, kind of intrusive. Compare that to the instant, anonymous world of crypto. This isn't just a new payment method, folks. This is a fundamental technological shift that could pretty much make national regulations obsolete.
So, all of this brings us right to the central conflict of this whole story. It's this relentless game of cat and mouse, right? You've got fast-moving, borderless technology on one side and slow-moving national laws on the other.
And what's really sobering is that experts are telling us we're still just scratching the surface of understanding the full psychological impact here. We're still trying to pin down that gateway effect from social gaming, even as these newer, way more immersive platforms like the metaverse are popping up. I mean, imagine a world where gambling is just a seamless, built-in part of your virtual life. So because of all this, the whole conversation is starting to shift. When you're faced with technology that you just can't effectively ban, what do? Well, a lot of experts are now pushing for a public health model. It's an approach that basically accepts that some gambling is going to happen and instead focuses on a different goal, minimizing the harm.
And that really leaves us with a final and pretty difficult question to chew on. As technology just keeps lapping the law, who bears the ultimate responsibility here? Is it up to governments to regulate? Is it on the tech companies to build in better safeguards? Or, at the end of the day, does it all just fall on the individual? As these lines keep blurring, the answer, well, it's anything but simple.